and try to stay connected. I've been burning through my phone's data today.
I hear you. My internet's been doing the same thing. All right, so welcome all. What we're here to do today is look at a syllabus that the ID team has put together to try to help you in thinking about moving your course to a flexible format. And basically there's some differences obviously between face-to-face teaching, hybrid teaching, fully online teaching, any teaching modality. But the big thing to understand when you're in an online or a transitional environment is it's much more difficult for students to look at you and ask you a question in real time about something that they don't understand, or maybe just as importantly, for them to have, for you to be able to look at the students and kind of just judge, they don't really get this. And there's really no single document that's more important to setting up your course and your course expectations than your course syllabus. So this will probably seem overly rigorous or overly detailed to some, but the idea behind it is really not to leave your students with unanswered questions. So give me just a moment. Sorry, as John noted, we've both been having some fun with our internet today, so I had to restart some stuff, and all the stuff I had open for this, I have to reopen. All right, so we're going to go about this in a little bit of an interesting way because this syllabus is actually in two different parts. Hi, Jen. Yeah, we are having that go around a lot, so no worries. Because the syllabus is its own standalone document, and if you request access from the IDs, we can give you access to that. But we've also built it into a template within Blackboard. And I'm going to share a document with you and walk you through it that will allow you to pull this template right into any course that you want to. So, whoops. So there is the link to the document. And then you should all be able to see my screen now, correct? Okay, I saw somebody nod, so I'm going to take that as a good sign. So as this shows, you're just going to start by clicking on this link to download the flexible template. And this will simply download a zip file to your downloads folder or wherever you happen to put it in. From there, you need to go into Blackboard. and go to whatever course you want to pull that into. And then you're going to go to the packages and utilities, import package, and simply find the file that you just downloaded. And like I said, unless you change anything, it'll go right into your downloads file. And from there, all you have to do is select all and submit it. So it's really pretty straightforward, and it usually only takes a few seconds for it to process. Now, one thing to be aware of is that everything does always get loaded to the bottom of the course. So that's just how Blackboard was set up. So you may have to do some manual rearrangement. So what you will see in the documents or in the instruction document is what this should look like after you've finished cleaning it up. So now I'm going to go find my master version of this so that I have a nice pretty version. My apologies again, I did have this all set up before I had to restart things. Okay, so the first thing that you'll see in the template is simply instructions and an explanation of what the template is and how to use it. There's nothing that you really need to worry about here right now because that's partially what we're going to be talking about. Now, we've modified the home page because there's a lot of homepage items for a fully online course that involve things like due dates and action items that you may not need to use. So we've replaced that with just the announcements page. So this is a great way to communicate with all your students. You just click on create announcement, write it up, send it out, and an email goes out to all students notifying that there's an announcement. And if they come into the course, they'll automatically land on this page to see any new announcements. Now, the meat and potatoes of this is the course information folder. And this is where the flexible syllabus template is. And I'm just going to pretend that that said flexible all along. We change our language around here every now and then. Now, again, you'll see that there's instructor directions about how to use this area. Now, you'll notice any of these instructor direction things are hidden from students. So you can delete them, you can choose not to delete them, but students will never see them. Now, we like to recommend that you sort of give a welcome to students, just something to say, hey, thanks for taking my course. How much further you want to take it than that is really up to you. Some faculty go as far as making their own video. Some dive a little bit further into their personal background. That's really up to you. Just as with everything, don't overwhelm them. So from here, we'll jump into the actual syllabus template. For anybody that's actually taken an online course from Oswego or has taught here before, a lot of this will be very obvious. And give me one sec, I just have to change the share settings. Steve, oh, thanks, Jen. Okay, so now you see the document itself. Now you will note it's a Word document, and we did this on purpose because Word documents are the easiest to make accessible for students. Plus, Word has a built-in accessibility checker. And also, we have to be cognizant that some students want to be able to print out their syllabus. And printing things off of Blackboard directly is one of the most painful processes known. So it just makes sense to turn it into a document that can be downloaded and printed by the student and is easily accessible. In terms of sections, the welcome is just a more abbreviated version of what's in the main area. The boilerplate text that you'll see here is really just for the students, and it points to a particular resource which is on the left navigation of the template. And you'll see that each section has these suggestions for more on the section. And if you follow these, they will take you to a very fleshed out Google document with lots of information on each section. Contact information. How do you want your students to get in touch with you? Some quick things to think about here. Don't use a non-Oswego method. So don't use anything but an Oswego edu email or anything but something within Blackboard. So course messages or the discussion forums for communicating with students. Obviously, phone numbers have become an issue because we don't have our offices anymore. So you might want to look into options like, hey, email me and with a time you want to meet, and I'll set up a Zoom meeting or a Skype meeting, or I'll call you and use *67 to hide your phone number. And there's some other useful things you can put in here, like login information, like how often you'll be on, if you ever want to do synchronous office hours, your grading timeline, things like that. And all of those are covered in the show more for this section. The course overview is basically just the catalog description. If you want to flesh it out more than that, you're welcome to do so. Some faculty actually do a second video for this because sometimes it's fun to show our enthusiasm for the subject, to not just say, yes, this is Geography 101 where we'll study rocks, but to say, look how cool this is something that can kind of only be carried over through video. Your course objectives is simply what do you want the students to get out of the course. So at the end of the day, what should they be able to do? The course readings and materials is one of the more detailed sections in terms of the built-in text. You should probably try to keep all of this because it makes sure that they have all of the information they need for the title to get the books that you want, and it tells them what their options for software on campus are. Now, learning activities is basically what are they going to be doing during the course? And this covers both how are they going to learn things and how are they going to show you what they've learned. So this would include things like readings, discussions, readings from the book, readings of lectures, readings of outside articles, watching instructor videos, discussions, quizzes, tests, any sort of assessment. So this is literally, here's what you're going to be doing in the course to learn stuff and to show me what you've learned. Now, how you will be evaluated is the numeric side of this. So this is what you will be doing, and this is how you will be, that will be counted for you. So this is simply, a student should be able to look at this section and be able to figure out how to calculate their own grade. Now, right now, Blackboard is the only method that is considered secure for sharing ongoing grades with students. You can use Banner to share midterm grades and final grades, but if you're sharing assignment grades or anything like that, it is basically Blackboard's the way to do it. And there is a different workshop on setting up your Blackboard gradebook, but this is how they would set up those. This is how the student would access those grades. Course rubrics is probably the most optional one in here. If you use rubrics, especially if you use the same rubric on multiple assignments, this is a good place to give students a preview on it. One of the most common things this is used for is discussions, but if you don't use rubrics, just get rid of it. Then expectations is kind of anything that you missed from the rest. So if you want to hit on your expectations for netiquette, your expectations for communication, your general expectations for respect. It's not a bad spot to restate your expectations on late work and your policies surrounding that. And then going forward is simply, what do I do next? So I finished reading this, where do I go from here? And then everything below that is the various work or the various information that is required to be in this by either the campus or the state of New York. And finally, we hit the course schedule. And this is really probably the single thing that students will most revisit from here. So you'll see when we go back to the main template that this is actually copied out into a secondary location. So you fill it out here and then you make another copy so that it can be directly accessed, because at any point in time as the student, I should be able to look at this and know, where am I? What do I need to do? And when do I have to have it done by? Okay, so I'm gonna switch back to the main template. And just as a quick thing, this is what all of those links point to. So this is an extremely detailed version of that simplified document. So anything that you have questions on, you can probably find answers and examples in here. So back to the main template, I'm gonna take us back into the course information. And you'll see that that syllabus template that I was looking at is actually hidden from students. So what you would do is click on that to download it for yourself. You would fill it out, and then you would just replace it right here. And if you actually click on this link, it will give you instructions for how to do that replacement. But really, it's as easy as pulling down the edit menu. I'm sorry, let me do that a little slower. And you can also do it from this level. So every time I hover my mouse over something in Blackboard, I'll usually get this pull down menu. And one of the options is almost always edit. And from here, I would go find the file that I just downloaded. Give it whatever the appropriate name was, and submit it. And I'm not going to submit it because I don't want to replace what I have there. But easy peasy, and you would have a new, you would have your syllabus uploaded. And then, as I said, because it's so heavily used, we like to have an extra copy of the course schedule. This is just a in Blackboard version, so students don't have to download it, but you can just copy what you have in the Word document and paste it right into here. And you'll notice that students have a link directly on the left menu that takes them right to that page. So that's just copy and paste. This is just another way to get to those various services and policies. And this is a student guide to Blackboard. And that's pretty much it. For faculty, the other thing that you might be interested in is there is a link to our online learning portal, which has tons of detail on all sorts of things in terms of course materials, creating lectures, creating assignments, creating testing, and using all of the different functions in Blackboard, all of which would usually live in the content area. And this is then the last of the template documents. The way most faculty choose to organize their courses is simply to have a series of modules within the content area, and then a module at a glance document explaining what students are supposed to do in this and whatever content should be in there. And that again would be your lectures, your videos, your assignments, your tests. It all goes in the same spot so that a student doesn't have to go jumping around for it. There used to be an older model where, oh, I'll put all of my lectures in here and I'll put all my tests in here and all of my exams in here and whatnot. But when you've transferred to the flexible learning model, you really have to consider, okay, as a student, I'm going through these things step by step. So it's much more convenient for me if they're all in the same spot rather than saying, oh yeah, I want to go look at that lecture after having a face-to-face class. So that wraps up me talking, and I will open the floor for questions.
Doug, so you're taking questions now?
Yep.
So you're recommending doing this and uploading this as a document in Blackboard and then having a separate, like, cause in my Blackboard course, I have a bunch of different sub-documents in the course information section, how you'll be evaluated, how to contact me, etc. Do you recommend doing both
Well, you're in a little bit of a different boat, Steve, because you've already taught fully online. The idea behind this template is to help people that have never taught online to move a face-to-face course to a online format very quickly and in a streamlined format. So yeah, if we had all the time in the world and wishes were fishes, then yeah, I would say break out all those sections. So to give the rest of you an idea of what Steve is talking about is usually when you go into course information, you see each of those sections that's in the printable syllabus broken out as its own individual page within Blackboard so that I can read through them without downloading the document in sequence. Or I can print out the Word document if I prefer to have a printed version. So yeah, Steve, for you, I would still recommend having both. But
Thank you.
people that are just trying to get this done and get a handle on it, that's not necessary. Now, I will say we really did our best to, starting from this import document, to make this as user-friendly as possible so that it should really walk you through each step. And once you get the flexible template uploaded, that it will walk you through what should be in each section. But and of course, it does say this in a few spots. If you have any questions or any problems, simply let us know. And if it's a technical question, you might actually be better off going to the SUNY help desk, especially if it's on a weekend. They'll get back to you far faster than an ID will, because the IDs only are here Monday through Friday. Though obviously if we're here, we'll help you out. The other option is to go through the help desk, and they will send us a ticket and one of the IDs will follow up with you. And we're happy to work with you on technical issues that are more complex or with the more pedagogical issues. Any other questions? Hey, John, are you on?
Yes. I will stop the recording if there's no more questions.
All right. Well, once again, the IDs are always available to help you out, except when we're not, in which case reach out to the SUNY help desk. Either way, we will do our best to work with you and get you set on track. I wish you all the best of luck. I know this is very challenging for all of us. We do understand your pain. And we'll do our best to help everybody get through this with at least some version of sanity intact. So everybody, please have a great one and stay healthy.
Thanks for doing this, Doug.
Yeah, thanks, Doug.
Thanks, Doug.
Thank you.